News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. It is a guilty verdict for Luciano Fratellin. He is the Montreal man accused of killing his 9-year-old daughter, Melina. Her body was found in upstate New York last summer. This morning, Fratellin told the judge he would not testify, and that ended his defense. The jury reached the verdict in just a few hours, guilty of second-degree murder. The girl and her father were on a vacation in upstate New York when Fratellin reported that his daughter was missing. Her body was found the next day near Ticonderoga. In British Columbia, it is being called an unprecedented wildfire emergency. In the Okanagan Valley, a fast-moving, out-of-control wildfire. Tens of thousands of people are under evacuation orders. And most of southern BC, east of the Fraser Canyon, is under an air quality alert. Here's Andrew Johnson.
Jim Harnden and Tracy Coleman have done a lot of camping in their old van. This time in the Penticton Walmart parking lot is a little different.
We're safe, or as safe as we
making the best of a bad situation. You know, life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
They evacuated Friday night along with more than 10,000 others as flames quickly started to consume homes just west of Summerland.
The neighbor's house is burning up.
Families on the frantic drive out trying to register the destruction unfolding right in front of them.
It's like a freight train coming at you, the heat, everything. It's unexplainable.
One person, an elderly woman, died during the escape. In all, close to 20,000 people are out of their homes. That's all of Summerland and part of Peachland, communities in the heart of vacation and wine country south of Kelowna. The BC Wildfire Service says it is throwing everything it can at the fire, despite conditions limiting the use of air tankers. The fire has grown to 156 square kilometers. That's larger than the city of Vancouver. But overnight, expected strong winds did not materialize. Some evacuees are left to grieve the loss of their home.
20 years of building everything we've built to watch it go up in flames in 5 minutes. Just gone.
For Harnden, even these difficult days are a gift. He has terminal metastatic cancer of the spine.
I don't know how much time I've got, and so I just want to make the best out of it.
They're comfortable staying in their van during the evacuation as long as Jim's health holds out. He's been receiving care in hospice, where he says an end-of-life camaraderie develops with fellow patients.
Live together and tell each other stories. This is just one of them.
Their story and those of many others threatened by this wildfire could remain stuck for some time. The fire is still out of control, and officials tell us even a staggered return could be a week off if the fire can be kept away. And right now, that's still a big if. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Penticton, BC.
A former Quebecer was among the people forced to flee their homes in the early hours of Saturday morning. And Matt, he says it all happened very quickly.
Yeah, that's right, Mitsumi. Carl Boucher, who's originally from Chicoutimi, says that he was sitting on his back porch of his new home with his wife Mira when they saw a plume of black smoke appear in the mountains. Now, that was at around 5:30 p.m. on Friday. They say within about half an hour, water bombers were all over the nearby lake, and panic had started to set in the town. They say they were expecting to be put under an evacuation order probably sometime the next day, and told their 3 children to pack go bags just in case. But at around 2:30 in the morning, they woke up to what they describe as an apocalyptic scene. Their phones ringing, telling them to leave immediately.
No more power, no more water. And when we walked outside, it was like that moment. The smoke was so heavy, and there was the only light you see. It's the fire in the background, and yeah, we left.
It was very scary. If you were outside more than 15 minutes, you'd have a bad headache, you'd get dizzy. Like it was not pleasant at all.
Oh no, it was so thick and so filled. Like, yeah, we knew that was the right thing to do. Like, we gotta go. Like, we gotta go now.
They say by the time they actually left, nobody had actually come around to warn residents yet, and so they honked and knocked on some of their neighboring doors. The family's now staying in Victoria, where they say they're not getting very many updates on the condition of their home. Mitsumi.
Thanks very much, Matt. The head of the Montreal Police Department will be meeting with the people of Montreal North tomorrow. It's a public meeting. It's to address the allegations of racism among police. 2 officers have been suspended, 14 others reassigned. Here's Kelly Gregg.
Shame on you!
There have been protests and questions about the actions of Montreal police. Tomorrow night, a chance for answers.
We're not too hopeful in the sense that we know things are out of our control, and we've been asking the same thing over and over again.
In June, 2 officers from Station 39 in Montreal North were suspended and 14 others reassigned after allegations of racism towards the community they serve.
Enough information has been gathered to justify major administrative measures.
But since then, little information has come out. An internal SPM video from June applauded the officers who came forward with the allegations. But Anne-Victoria Telemac with the community group Hoodstock says it shouldn't take a whistleblower to have these issues be taken seriously.
It's not just when the police complain about the police that there's a change. You know, we also want the citizens of the city to be heard.
And she adds that could be difficult, considering the meeting will be at City Hall in Old Montreal.
We don't know what to expect because it's far from the people that live in Montreal North. We don't know if they're going to be there.
According to the police agenda for the meeting, topics will include to instill a real culture change, encouraging internal and external denunciations, and creating a response plan in collaboration with the public and partners. There have been inquiries into police actions before, including the 2008 killing of Freddie Villanueva, which found systemic issues with police oversight.
Nothing really changed 18 years ago compared to today. It's the same energy, it's the same environment, and it's the same approach.
In 2024, Quebec's Superior Court ruled racial profiling is a systemic issue in the force. While Telemac acknowledges just having the meeting is a positive step, she's not banking on having any new answers to a problem she says has been around for decades. Kelly Gregg, CTV News.
There were reports of gunshots last night in the Southwest Borough. Police were called just after 11:30 to an area around Galt and Hadley. They found a car riddled with bullets. Police are now going through surveillance video. The arson squad is investigating. There was an early morning fire at a restaurant on Jean Talon. Police say someone smashed a window at the restaurant, Faux Vietnam, and threw in a firebomb. Damage was limited to the front of the building, and there were no injuries. Trade Minister Dominique Leblanc is in Washington for another round of talks today. The tariff deadline is next week, August 19th. Here's Mike Lecouture.
As the American capital deals with another sweltering day, trade talks between Canada and the U.S. are heating up. The Minister of Canada-U.S. Trade, Dominique LeBlanc, is coming to Washington in anticipation of more meetings. Canada and the U.S. are in the middle of these trade talks. Meantime, Americans here just want to see the relationship return to normal.
Definitely don't need more tariffs. Anything, get rid of it. And if you want to start off, you can lessen it, but definitely we need to get rid of it.
I think it's horrid. I think it's terrible for our world economy. I think it's bad for Canadian economy. It's bad for American economy.
Others admit they aren't following the movement of every meeting. That's why the Canadian American Business Council launched 2 educational interactive games. One shows Canadians how the U.S. is often the source of everyday grocery items, and the other shows Americans how many states count on Canada as their top customer.
Really highlighting how important and integrated we are has been really valuable.
The CABC also commissioned a study to show the impacts of tariffs and a possible collapse of CUSMA. It shows Canada could see a $271 billion hit to the GDP over the next decade without the trade deal. In the U.S., it would be a $1 trillion loss over 10 years. But keeping it in place could see growth and more jobs.
A successful agreement would also support 137,000 additional U.S. jobs and 98,000 Canadian jobs in 2027 alone.
Burke and industry sources are cautiously optimistic after last week's meetings.
While creating meaningful opportunities.
As trade talks continue, equally complex negotiations are happening over Canada's purchase of new fighter jets and whether or not to buy the American F-35.
The question of an acquisition of that size would normally, obviously, be a point of debate or dialogue between two sovereign nations.
While those talks continue, there is a sense of urgency on the trade front. The U.S. has threatened a 50% tariff on a wide swath of Canadian goods if there isn't an agreement within the next 9 days. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Washington.
And Premier Christine Fréchette, for her part, says she is open to the idea of returning American alcohol to SAQ shelves.
Moi, je serais ouverte à considérer ce retour-là dans la mesure où il y a un gain qui est obtenu par le Québec.
Fréchette was at an event today in Yamachiche. She said she'd be willing to lift the ban on American wine and spirits, but only if the U.S. made trade concessions that would benefit Quebec. That would include eliminating tariffs on forestry products and aluminum. A Montreal man is being charged with making death threats against the Prime Minister. 51-year-old Marc Paulier was arrested last week. Police say the alleged threats were made in a message that was sent to a senator. And the Prime Minister is on holiday in Italy this week, but Mark Carney says he will be keeping an eye on government priorities, such as the trade negotiations with the U.S. He says he will be in contact with officials and his team and will be notified of any developments. Environment Canada says it's making some changes to how they alert us about severe weather. Now, Lauren, this new method is supposed to be more precise.
Yeah, that's right. So this update will launch tomorrow, and they say they'll be able to track severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings very precisely, so we'll know exactly where they are. Now, we can take a look at some footage of past events, and obviously they are quite dramatic. So Environment Canada says this will mean fewer false alarms, and the meteorologist I spoke with said they'll be going from what's called a zonal alert system, which covers a region, to a polygon system, which is more precise. Here's exactly how it will work.
With this new system, when we identify a thunderstorm that has reached severe criteria threshold or a tornado, we are able to just highlight that particular thunderstorm or tornado, and then we can draw basically an area of around that thunderstorm and its projected path. And so the area that we draw, that is where the Canadians that are under that polygon, under that area that we drew within cell phone tower range, will receive those alerts. So now it's just a much smaller area.
So in order to receive these updates, you'll have to be subscribed to the Environment Canada app there and have your location services precisely located on in order to receive these specific alerts. Now, for now, they're using this for tornadoes and severe thunderstorm warnings, not watches, because warnings means it's imminent, but they do hope that they are going to launch this in the future for more severe weather like snowstorms. So we'll have more weather details for you later in the show.
Thanks very much, Lauren. Some people have complained about the weather this summer, but Quebec's farmers are not complaining. It is a plentiful harvest, especially for the corn. Here's Christine Long.
We did nearly 2,000 dozen corn this past weekend.
Corn sales at Quinn Farm in Notre-Dame-de-l'Île-Perrot are brisk. In fact, everything is ripening and ready for harvest.
Blueberry picking, we also went tomato picking. There are also some jalapenos.
Yeah, we got those.
Yet, it's the sweet corn that is most popular these days.
For some reason this year with the cool weather, it all just kind of stagnated, and then boom, they're already at the same time.
Fields are being harvested at a pace, and the prices are coming down.
At the beginning of the season, we were $13 a dozen. Now we're down to 10, and next week we're probably going to go down a little bit more and move more corn, more volume.
At their on-site market, it's $13 for 14 ears of corn.
We do a farmer's dozen here, 14 to the dozen for anyone coming to the farm here.
In Saint-Jacques-de-Mineur, le roi de maïs sucré, Jean-Yves Deneau, says the corn is sweeter than last year because of the weather. Plus, his crops are all ready to harvest at the same time. $9 for 13 ears of corn, he says, at the public markets he sells to, and that includes his fuel delivery costs.
So I'd say they're the best in the area.
Back at Quinn Farm, clients say the corn here is worth the drive.
Beautiful. It tastes good, it's sweet, and it's easy, and it's cheap, and it's good price.
Quinn says by the time all the sweet corn is sold, it'll be apple season already. Christine Long, CTV News.
Rockland Center has changed hands and at a very, very low price. The shopping mall was sold for just $1. Here's Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil.
$1. That's the price listed on the deed for the sale of Rockland Center. But the low price tag doesn't tell the whole story. The 67-year-old shopping center is now controlled by a numbered company linked to developer André Dudac, who also runs Jadco Real Estate. The property is now valued by the city at about $115 million. That's down from $139 million in 2021. So why would a property valued in the millions change hands for a loonie? Real estate market analyst Mitch Strominger tells us it might be the result of what he calls a share sell.
It's when a company creates a sort of a shell company or a special purpose vehicle, if you will. This numbered company is the owner of this particular real estate asset.
That type of deal can also keep existing debt, leases, and other liabilities in place, and it can have tax implications.
You have sort of capital gains taxes and other types of tax considerations. Some of those can be mitigated or reduced.
But for people who shop here, the bigger question is what comes next.
New people, new staff, new everything. Yeah, it will be so excited.
They might want to add some new stores, some more restaurants. But overall, it's good.
Malls aren't what they used to be, she says. There's not much to see here anymore, and it's sad. But change at Rockland could mean more than new stores. There's already a history of bigger plans for the site. A 2020 proposal included condos, townhouses, offices, transit, and green space. But resident pushback and a change in town administration put that plan on ice. Now, some residents worry a new owner could bring those kinds of changes back to the table.
They say a lot of things. They're going to close it, they're going to put houses, apartments. That's going to be very sad.
More condos, more townhouses. That's not right. This should definitely, TMR should hold on to Rockland. It's an important part of our community.
Jadco in the town of Mount Royal declined our request for comment. We also reached out to Cominar, but didn't get a response in time for this broadcast. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
A well-known Quebec fast food chain has come to Montreal. Ashton is well known in Quebec City for its poutine. It is entering the Montreal market with an outlet at Complexe des Jardins. The last time they tried to open at a location, it was in the 1980s, and it didn't do well. They're hoping to do better this time.
We don't have any frozen products. We don't have any freezers at all in our restaurants. Everything's made fresh, is made to order. So when it comes to our potatoes, they come from Ile d'Orléans. They're cut on site every single day. Cheese curds is delivered 7 days a week at all our locations. And our beef for our burgers is 100% from Quebec. So when you come to Ashton's, you guarantee to eat fresh, and that is essentially our promise.
The owners of the Ashton chain bought La Banquise, that's a Montreal chain, a year and a half ago. Coming up, it was a major earthquake in Colombia. There is widespread damage, and there are deaths. And the trial begins into one of America's most notorious murder cases. There are scenes of widespread destruction coming out of Colombia. It was a 7.4 magnitude earthquake. It hit this morning about 150 miles off Bogota. There are at least 111 people dead. Olivia Rubin has the latest.
Today, new video showing the horrifying moment a 7.4 magnitude earthquake rocked parts of Colombia. Urgent rescues underway. The quake hitting early this morning, about 250 miles west of Bogota in the community of San Jose del Palmar, leaving unbelievable damage in its wake. In Pereira, almost an entire building collapsing. And inside this man's home, complete destruction. The walls torn onto the floor. Parts of a hospital clinic collapsing too. And the towers of this cathedral, the largest in Colombia, knocked right over. Urgent rescue operations underway in cities like Cali, one of the hardest hit areas. Over 20 buildings collapsed there, people trapped under the rubble. Back in Pereira, rescue teams digging through that rubble for survivors, as many brace for possible aftershocks.
When you have structures that are as badly damaged as some of them seem to be, aftershocks are obviously going to be a concern. They could be big enough to cause damage, and especially if you have weakened structures.
And tremors from this earthquake felt as far away as Venezuela, still recovering from its own massive earthquake just 6 weeks ago that left more than 5,000 people dead. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
In the eastern part of Spain, they're trying to gain control of a massive wildfire. 700 people in the area have been displaced. The fire started on Friday and spread quickly. There are also major fires across central Spain and to the south as well. And in Indonesia, a national park was closed to tourists this weekend as wildfires approached an active volcano. There's video showing flames racing up the side of the mountain, with water-bombing helicopters and drones being used to try to fight the flames. There are negotiations between the U.S. and Iran to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The talks are not going well. We have this report.
This morning, sweeping new demands from Iran in exchange for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, saying they won't do so until the United States, quote, corrects its behavior. Iran demanding the U.S. lift its naval blockade and sanctions on Iran, withdraw troops from around the country, reimburse Iran for the cost of the war, and release Iranian assets.
They clearly feel like they're in the driver's seat, and they feel like they can put demands out there that essentially they know the United States can't and wouldn't accept.
It raises new questions after Trump last week said a deal with Iran to reopen the critical waterway was imminent.
It could be said.
But now, in an interview with Axios, Trump's saying they are only, quote, semi-negotiating with them. And the president notably has not made any new military threats, at least not publicly, instead appearing to focus on economic pressures. And Trump had previously threatened massive strikes against Iran, warning that this round of negotiations would be their last chance. Now, no word on where the president might go from here. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, Israel has rejected Donald Trump's 15-point plan for Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says there will be no military withdrawal until Hamas is disarmed. And Hamas says it will not disarm until Israel withdraws its forces from Gaza. Israel has been carrying out strikes in Gaza despite an agreement for a ceasefire last fall. And Air Canada says it will not be flying to Dubai and Tel Aviv until January 2027. The airline first canceled flights on both destinations in February when the U.S. and Israel began the war with Iran. The airliner says customers might be able to rebook to a later date, cancel, or change to another destination without additional fees, depending on the circumstances. The murder trial began today for a former gang leader accused in the death of rapper Tupac Shakur. The case is considered one of the most high-profile unsolved murders in the United States.
Fresh out of jail, California dreaming. Soon as I step on the scene, I'm hearing hoochie screaming.
A former gang leader, Dwayne Davis, is accused of ordering the killing and of supplying the gun used in the drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. That was in 1996. Davis is now 63 years old. He faces life in prison without parole if convicted. Shakur was a best-selling and iconic rapper who was just 25 years old when he was killed. Coming up, warnings about lithium batteries.
Started over here. You can see the flames up above the house.
There are more of these batteries out there, and with that, more fires. And we look at the link between vision loss and stroke.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvmontreal.ca, your home for news.
We recently received an email from a viewer who was wondering whether there might be a link between eye problems and stroke. Well, the short answer is yes. Dr. Christopher Labos joins us. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Mitz.
So, Chris, vision changes after a stroke are not uncommon. Why is that?
Well, it's basically because when you have a stroke, depending on where it's located and the size of it, it's going to touch on one of the things that is regulating your vision. And because there's a lot of different parts to, making sure that you can see properly, it's not just about the lens of the eye or the cornea, which is what most people think about because that's what our glasses are focused on. But you basically need a functioning retina, you need functioning muscles to coordinate your eye, your brain needs to process it. And so there's a lot of different ways in which that system can go bad. And you notice vision problems. Like if you have a mild degree of numbness in one hand, maybe you won't think about it all that much, but even slight disturbances in your vision affect your daily activities. And so even small deficits, small insults to that system become very noticeable and become a major problem when people are rehabilitating after a stroke.
And there are different types of vision loss.
Yeah, so you can lose the vision completely in one eye. You can just lose half of the vision in sort of the right half or the left half of your eye. You can lose it in just one quadrant. You can have a blind spot. And sort of assessing that can be, a little bit not difficult, but it's labor intensive because you have to identify these things. Otherwise, people may not realize what the problem is. And so being able to correctly identify where the vision loss is and what the problem is going to be important for making the ultimate diagnosis and identifying what you need to fix if indeed it is fixable.
Yeah, because, for example, if it's something like cataracts or glaucoma, that has nothing to do with a stroke, right?
Exactly. And so you may also get into the situation where somebody has an undiagnosed problem before the stroke that only comes to light when they're in hospital. Because if you have a cataract, well, that's, cloudiness of the lens. If you have glaucoma, that's high pressure in the eye. And while there might be similar risk factors that go into it, these are very, very different problems. So it's also very important to make sure that what you're dealing with is actually a consequence of the stroke and not an unrelated problem that just happens to be coexisting in the same patient.
And then there's also paralysis in the muscles that move the eye.
Right. So in the same way that after a stroke, you can have a paralysis in your arm or in your leg or in half your body, you have muscles that move your eyes. And so part of the reason why we are able to focus and have depth perception is we can coordinate our eyes to look at the same thing. If all of a sudden you have a paralysis in one muscle and you can't move your eye to the right or move your eye to the left, you have two problems. Number one, you have limiting your field of vision, which is going to become an issue if you have to, let's say, drive a car, for example. But another problem is going to be is that if your eyes can't focus on the same thing, now all of a sudden you're going to be getting double vision, diplopia as it's called, which is also going to be affecting your ability to function on a daily basis. So there's a lot of different ways in which this can go wrong.
So can vision change be the sign of a stroke?
Yeah, it absolutely can. And one of the classic signs is what's called amaurosis fugax. And here's where I get to show off my knowledge of Greek and Latin. So amaurosis comes from the Greek word mavrosis, meaning to go black. Fugax is from the Latin term meaning temporary or fleeting. So it's a fleeting blackness in the eye. So if you lose your vision in one eye completely, that is called amaurosis fugax. That's sort of the older term. We now tend to refer to it as a TIA, a transient ischemic attack. And basically, in the same way that a stroke is like a blood clot in the brain, this is sort of a blood clot in the arteries leading to the retina. So if you cut off the supply to your retina, you will not be able to see out of that one eye. And this is often a very common manifestation that people have. So losing vision in one eye, even if it's not complete, can be a very, very serious problem. Thankfully, it's usually temporary, but it's a sign that you've just had, a small, reversible, but still a significant stroke.
Okay, so that's a sign of a stroke. Now, can a vision change also act as an early warning sign for a stroke?
So not really, because by the time you're starting to get changes in your vision, if it is because of impaired blood flow to the eye, the stroke has already happened, right? So if you have amaurosis fugax or a TIA, the stroke has happened. Now, if you want to think of it philosophically as, okay, I've just had a very small, minor, reversible stroke, it's time to get my affairs in order and control my blood pressure, my cholesterol, see a doctor, and start doing things properly and take medications. I suppose in that respect, you could see it as a sign that now you need secondary prophylaxis. But it's not going to be an early warning sign in the way I think the viewer asked the question.
Okay. Thank you very much for this, Chris.
My pleasure. You take care.
Amanda Knox is making headlines again. She was once convicted and then acquitted of killing her roommate. Well, now there's another growing controversy. Here's Allison Cossack.
The former boyfriend of Amanda Knox is speaking out about the new controversy surrounding Knox. The two were convicted, then later acquitted in the murder and sexual assault of Knox's foreign exchange roommate, Meredith Kircher, in Italy 19 years ago. Now, Knox is back in the spotlight, hosting a one-woman comedy show.
I've been trapped in a tragedy box.
Called Cartwheel, the show opened Friday in Scotland to a sold-out crowd and runs through August 17th. The title refers to claims that Knox did cartwheels in the police station after Kircher's death.
I'm referencing how I was wrongly vilified in the murder of Meredith.
The show is billed as a woman juggling motherhood and the aftermath of a wrongful imprisonment. But Knox's ex-boyfriend, Rafael Solicito, tells the Daily Mail, "I find it puzzling that a tragedy is being used as a draw for a comedy show. I am trying to process and move past what happened in a different way." Meredith Kircher's sister says Knox is trivializing violence against women.
I would have hoped that 2 decades on, we'd maybe have a little bit more empathy around using this theme and association in such a traumatic sort of, event in our lives.
An online petition to cancel Knox's show now has more than 40,000 signatures. Knox, who lives in the U.S. and has established herself as someone who campaigns for the wrongly convicted, says she's not surprised by the backlash.
I have always received criticism and pushback, no matter what I've done.
Another man was eventually convicted of murdering Meredith Kircher. He served most of his 16-year sentence. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
Weather brought to you by Gratianscaf's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, much of southwestern Quebec is still under a severe thunderstorm watch, where we could be experiencing severe winds, so strong wind gusts, as well as heavy rain at times. And these are the ingredients for the risk of a tornado. Now, it doesn't look like Montreal will be hit with that, but it has been issued by Environment and Climate Change Canada that is a risk factor here. As of tomorrow, we'll be seeing nicer conditions, lots of sunshine in the forecast, and we will be dealing with less humidity. Now, today we can see our temperatures are right where they should be. 26 degrees was today's daytime high, the humidity making it feel like 31. If we put our futurecast into motion, we can see on our screen the system that's impacting Montreal, and the red represents the potential of thunderstorms. So it is currently hovering over Montreal at this time, but it looks like around 9 or 10, that system pushes eastwards. Montreal dealing with cloudy skies overnight, and that's what we're holding on to. Into the early morning hours, we start the day off with a mix of sun and clouds, so we will see some sunshine, and we hold on to that pretty much throughout the afternoon. There are some spotty showers in the vicinity tomorrow evening, but as of right now, we are not forecasting any rain, and we'll see clearing into the early morning hours on Wednesday, where we're expecting yet another nice day with a mix of sun and clouds. So we just have to get through tonight. It's not going to be as bad, but just have to issue those watches because they should be taken seriously. So we are looking at a low of 18 degrees. 14 millimeters is what we're estimating for that heavy rainfall tonight. And then we'll see cloudy skies into the early morning hours, starting our day off with sun and clouds, a wake-up temperature of 19. Expecting to hit a daytime high of 26 tomorrow, feeling like 31. But if we look at our longer range forecast, we can note that I don't have a feels like value for the rest of the week. That means the humidity is dropping. So come Wednesday, we're looking at a high of 26, which is seasonal, and a mix of sun and clouds. We could see some thunderstorms on Thursday, around 7 millimeters there. Friday, lots of sunshine and a cooler 23 degrees. Weekend's looking great, a risk of some showers Sunday night. But this time next week, 24 degrees with a mix of sun and clouds.
A 3-year-old girl was attacked by a bear in suburban Vancouver. The child was playing in the backyard of her home when she was attacked. Her father managed to shoot the bear with a bow and arrow, but the bear ran off and has yet to be found. Across Canada, fire departments are warning people of the growing risk of lithium-ion batteries. There have been several fires related to the batteries in Alberta and Ontario in recent days. Kathy Lee has more.
Started over here, but
the scars of this fire are everywhere. Fred Dennis's home in Medicine Hat, Alberta may still be standing, but it's a complete write-off.
You can see the flames up above the house.
The fire broke out on the back deck early last month. Dennis and his wife were out grocery shopping.
The worst part about all of this is we lost our dog and cat in a fire.
As they grieve their loss, news from the fire department about how the blaze started shocked them.
They figured it was a lithium-ion battery.
Dennis said that battery was in this solar light purchased online.
What happened here is part of a much bigger problem countrywide. In Calgary, fire crews responded to multiple calls involving lithium-ion batteries.
Not one, not two, but at least 3 reported fires in 24 hours. 2 involved e-scooters, their lithium-ion batteries overheating while charging.
If that battery becomes compromised, it goes into what's called thermal runaway, and that's where very, very quickly that fire will accelerate and grow.
Calgary has already recorded more lithium-ion battery fires this year than last. Toronto and surrounding communities are also reporting an increase, the latest incident on the 7th floor of a high-rise.
The greatest, fastest evolving, growing public fire safety risk in the city is lithium-ion battery fires.
Experts say several factors are fueling the problem, from batteries sold online that don't meet Canadian safety standards to damaged or cheap charging cords to improper disposal of batteries or overcharging devices.
You never want to charge something beyond 100%.
Beyond public awareness, fire officials nationwide are also calling for stronger oversight of lithium-ion batteries sold in Canada. Dennis hopes sharing what happened here will lead to change.
I hope they get the industry to improve what they're making.
Because he doesn't want anyone else to go through what his family has. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Medicine Hat, Alberta.
And coming up, it seems that Chewy was missing Barb.
Then we came up with the idea to get him a baby, a puppy, and he fell in love with her.
The story of a heartbroken Newfoundland does have a happier ending. And there might be a way to treat hot flashes without hormone treatment.
Your Health, brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
There's a promising experimental treatment for hot flashes during menopause, and a lot of people are taking notice. Here's Adrian Gabriel.
It's a natural biological stage that nearly every woman will have to navigate in their life, though it's packed with stigma as well as debilitating symptoms.
Dry eyes to brain fog to mood changes, anxiety, night sweats, hot flashes. Every system in the body can be affected.
Positive signs from a new experimental menopause drug that could help decrease hot flashes has been developed by a Vancouver-based company called Abcelera. Now, the news has sent the company's stock skyward, while also providing hope for those searching for a non-hormonal alternative to hormone therapy.
There's so many women who, unfortunately they have breast cancer, for example, and they can't take hormones, right? So this would be like a good alternative.
Advocates say that for too long, women have been suffering in silence, unable to access reliable treatments during their prime adult years.
At the height of my professional career, I had never heard of the word perimenopause, had no idea that you could have 30+ symptoms.
A study by the Menopause Foundation of Canada found that 1 in 2 women feel unprepared for this stage of life, while 4 in 10 are reporting that they feel alone. Janet Coe co-founded the foundation to help break down the taboo and to close the knowledge gap while working to improve treatment.
For myself, it was a long and winding path to finding health and wellness, and I actually stepped away from an SVP role in my prime to really figure out what was happening to myself.
A 2003 study on menopause and work in Canada estimates that the unmanaged symptoms of menopause cost the economy $3.5 billion per year. While healthcare providers and advocates say today's announcement of a new possible treatment is positive news, more research and funding is needed to support women across the country.
An additional 12-week trial is expected for the new drug later this year. If approved, dosage would likely be a once-a-month self-injection. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Business News, brought to you by Au Vieux de Louf. Generous and delicious plates all the time.
The new menopause drug we just reported on has caught the interest of investors. Here's Lindsay Biscaya.
A potential breakthrough for menopause symptoms gave Abcelera a major boost, at one point up as much as 41% today. Shares of the company surged after Abcelera says a mid-stage trial of its menopause treatment succeeded. The drug significantly reduced the frequency and severity of hot flashes. It's a hormone-free antibody therapy and could provide an alternative to menopause hormone therapy. Shares of Barrick Mining fell the most since March today after missing second quarter profit estimates. Rising production costs and a tax dispute in Mali also dragged the Canadian miner down. Meanwhile, Barrick says it has reached an agreement with Newmont on their Nevada joint venture worth nearly $2 billion and has named Mark Hill as CEO of its planned North America business. A new report claims Apple has scrapped its highly anticipated all-glass phone, and it appears investors are already pulling back. Jefferies has downgraded Apple to an underperform rating, reflecting fears that Apple cannot easily roll out new expensive designs to boost its profits. The phone, which was supposed to be released to celebrate Apple's 20th anniversary, has reportedly been scrapped due to low manufacturing yields. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.74. West Texas Intermediate also finished the day higher, up to 82.13 a barrel. Western Canadian Select is up to 62.06. And yet another record high for the TSX, closing 77 points higher to finish at 36,458. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
3 of the top governing bodies in soccer have written an open letter denouncing FIFA President Gianni Infantino. In the letter, the UEFA, the CONCACAF, and the Asian Football Confederation accuse Infantino of, quote, deception for trying to sell off stakes in the World Cup. Infantino backed off the plan to sell commercial rights to the World Cup after the federations threatened to boycott future games. It is said that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but it's certain that a new dog can learn some old tricks. Here's Danny New.
We have an update on a story we brought you in the spring about a gigantic Newfoundland named Chewy and his 96-year-old best pal, Barb.
It's really my dog. I hope she knows that she realizes it's my dog.
After warming millions of hearts around the world while they gardened together, Barb has sadly passed away. Her granddaughter, Amy, who lives next door with Chewy and her family, says it was very sudden and likely from pneumonia.
We were really upset about it, but, you know, she was 96. She lived a long, happy, healthy life. So I rest easy knowing that.
And we know she felt the love. Just a few weeks before Barb passed, Amy opened up a mailbox for her and Chewy to hear from their many fans. And as you can see, the letters and packages were seemingly endless.
Even though it was the last 2 weeks of her life, she still would read those letters to Chewy. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Chew, you gonna come out of the bathtub today, buddy?
But when this sudden loss came, Amy says Chewy was so sad he spent much of the day in the bathtub. They knew they had to do something.
Chewy, look!
The family sprung into action and adopted a Newfoundland puppy named Mabel, which was Barb's middle name.
So then we came up with the idea to get him a baby, a puppy, and he fell in love with her.
What are you guys doing?
Over the past few weeks, Chewy has been showing Mabel the ropes, including the essential duty of leading Amy's children to the bus stop. Now, Amy says they are basically inseparable. Even enjoying sunsets together, too, just like Barb and Chewy used to do.
He just softens up for her. It's really cute.
Danny New, ABC News, New York.
The paramedics for Urgence Santé are in the process of voting on their new tentative agreement. And Matt, it seems that some of them aren't happy with the deal.
Yeah, that's right, Mitsumi. The Canadian press is reporting that the unions in both Montreal and Laval have already rejected the deal. That does not mean the agreement is dead just yet, though. There are 18 local unions voting, and they need a majority of locals and a majority of members for the deal to pass. The CSN is not commenting until all the votes are counted, and that could take until the end of the week. More on that story and more tonight at 11:30.
Thanks very much, Matt.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here tonight on CTV.
For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
And Lauren, it's looking like a rainy start to the evening.
Yes, I just checked and it looks like parts of the island have already seen some rainfall. We are still under this severe thunderstorm watch. This means we could see heavy rain at times and strong winds. Let's talk about what else we're expecting over the next 24 hours. And yes, I will try and end this on a positive note. We have around 17 millimeters of rain that we're anticipating tonight. This has upped because a couple of, like about 45 minutes ago, it was at 14 millimeters. So it looks like the rainfall that we're estimating has increased. But once that system pushes eastwards, it looks like around 10 p.m. we'll see cloudy skies, 18 degrees. We start the day off with a mix of sun and clouds, hitting a high of 26 tomorrow, feeling like 31. We'll certainly see some sunshine. And here's that positive note. Apart from Thursday, we're seeing lots of sun in the forecast, and our temperatures will be nice and comfortable.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.